Hi everyone, it's Hope from HopeYoder.com and Embellish, and I have Fundamental Video 5 where I'm going to talk about the design artwork tools. First thing, when you open your software, you probably will see this welcome screen. And here's a lot of information right at your fingertips. We're going to go ahead and close the screen and come over to our functions, and we can open and expand everything by clicking on the plus mark and slide down. I'm going to close everything and only open the design tab, and this is what we'll talk about in this video. I'm going to open file and select a new page, and I'll close this out. We're going to talk about the line tool. One of the things also, I'll go ahead and add grid marks to my screen, and that's under the View tab. We'll select the line art, and if I left click, wherever I left click, I'm going to create a straight line. And when I'm done, to end it, you're going to right click. And there I have a shape. Now, what would you want to do with this shape? If I wanted this to be a satin stitch, I'm going to come over to Convert and open the next set of tools. And all of these tools, where they look like a quarter of a donut, are your tools for satin stitch. And the auto column tool is what I would use to create, whoops, I take that back. Let me undo this. The satin stitch down here works with a non-closed shape. And what I mean by that is, let me zoom in. And if I click off, you can see this shape is not closed. So the best tool to use would be this icon. And I create, by clicking on it, a satin stitch, which you're used to. If I were to close this shape, I can do that simply by selecting this icon. Now I have a closed shape. Now this is way too big to do a satin stitch because it's closed, so I might want to create a filled stitch, a standard fill. That would be the icon that I would use. We'll go back to our shapes. Let me select this and delete it, and I'll close out the convert window. And we'll go back to the next shape, which is the pin. Left click on this, and this would just be for handwriting. It takes a little practice to get used to it, which I have not used this tool a lot. So let me just show you how you would use it. You're going to hold down the left portion of your mouse, and then you can just scroll. And if you wanted to get your signature, maybe to automatically digitize or create a stippling type of a design, this would be a great tool to use. So the entire time that I was drawing that, I did have the left portion of my mouse pushed down and held. I hold it and drag it. When I'm done, I'm going to right click to finish off the artwork. Let's zoom in. Hey, that doesn't look too bad. I'm going to color it in to maybe a different color. And so I've created artwork. These are not stitches. If I wanted to turn it into stitches, I would come back to Convert and Run Stitch. This might be a stippling stitch. I could create that. And then in the Sequence or Properties window, this is a 2.5-inch stitch length. I do have options in this window, which we'll talk about later on in another video. So let's go ahead and delete that and go on to the Bezier tool. Now this is an advanced feature, one that I don't use a lot, but sometimes I need to use it, and it does take some practice. So let's select this, and what I'm going to do now is I am going to hold down the mouse, do a couple clicks, and it's just going to create a straight line. But if I hold and drag the mouse at the same time, I'm going to get a curve. And this is just a way to curve around shapes. If I click, I'll get a straight line, and then if I curve around and drag it at the same time, I'm going to get a curve. I can right click, and you can see the very ugly shape that I've made, and that's using the Bezier tool. Let's close this out. And this next tool is quite helpful. It's a 3-point arc tool. Let's select that. And when you start off with this, you want to make 3 clicks. Notice what just happened. I made 3 different clicks and it automatically arced it. Let me undo that. Whoops. Let's select this again. Let's close this out. And I'm going to do the 3 points. So 3-point arc is just what it says. You need to click the first time 3 points anywhere. So notice I'm going to go, let's make this really big. 1 point, 1 point. Notice how it's a straight line, and I'll click down here for a 3rd point, and when I do, it automatically makes it a curve. Let me zoom out for you. Now I can click in a couple different 2 points. So now I'm doing 2 points to create different curve shapes. 1, 2, and on the second click it curves. 1, 2, second click it curves. 1, 2. To end this, I'm going to right click and I've got a shape. Now if I wanted to close this shape, let's scroll up. You have these shortcuts. I can close this shape. Let's see what that looks like. So that is the 3-point. Let me do it one more time. I'm going to click 1, 2, and on the 3rd click, it curves it. Next time, every time after the first session, I'm just going to make 2 clicks. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And you kind of get the picture. So you can make different shapes. This is a great way you could make scallops. Let's close this out. And now we're going to talk about the curve feature. I'm going to select that, and 1 click, 2 click, 3 click. Every time I click, I'm going to get a curved shape. Right click to end this. Now I'm going to go back to the line tool. One thing I didn't tell you, the line tool and the curve tool are the complete opposites. Let me show you what that means. Let me go back to the line tool. And everywhere I click, I'm going to get a straight line. But to make this line curve, I'm going to hold down the Control key. And now every time I do, I'm going to get a curved line. When I let go of the Control key, now I get a straight line. I'm going to hold down the Control key, and now I'm getting curved lines. Right click to end it. So with the line tool, a left click will give you a straight line. If you want to curve that line, then you're going to hold down the Control key. If we go to the Curve Artwork tool, it's just the opposite. Everywhere I click is going to give me a curved line. And you can see this is another way that you might want to create a stipple design. Now, if I want a straight design, a straight line rather, I'm going to hold down Control, and now I get a straight line. Let go of Control, and now I get a curve. Hold down Control, and I get straight lines. Let go of Control, and now my lines are curved. Right click to end the artwork tool, and again, I would come down to Convert and I could turn this into stitches if I wanted to. In this section, the closed shape, let me just use this tool. And let's say that's the shape that I wanted. I'm going to right click to end it. Oops, let me zoom in. And notice the shape, this is the end point, this is the start. So with this selected, I have shown you the shortcut for closed shape, but did you notice it's also in this section? So if I click on this, it's just going to generate some more lines to close this shape. Let me close this out. The next tool is the rectangle tool. And to create a rectangle, you're going to just click and drag with the left portion of your mouse. Let me get rid of that. And if you wanted to make a actual square, you're going to hold down the control key while you drag, and then you'll make a proportional size square. The circle tool, or the ellipse tool, it's an ellipse if you just click and drag. If you want a perfectly symmetrical ellipse, click the ellipse tool again, hold down the control key, and you'll get a perfect circle. Let's close this out. The triangle works the same way. You're going to left click and drag to get a triangle of any shape. Let's close this out and see what happens when I hold down the control key. I'm going to get a symmetrical triangle. I'm going to close this out, and it's the same thing with a pentagon. If I click and drag, I get a skewed pentagon. If I want it to be a symmetrical pentagon, if there's such a thing, you're going to hold down control key. I think you get the picture. Oops, I let go of control key in the middle of dragging. Let's do that again. Perfect. So let's go to the next tool, and that is our custom shape. And when we click on that, we have some pre-drawn shapes for you in this area. So for instance, if you wanted a rounded corner rectangle, here you have this. It's filled with color, but in the sequence window, you can unfill it. You can make it smaller or larger. Now it looks like a capsule or a pill. I'm going to close this out, and we'll go back to custom shape. The drop-down menu, there's some quick art that you can bring these in as well to play with. You'll notice these are grayed out, so we're not going to talk about these right now. That's more of an advanced tool. But if you notice the single rhinestone input, and rhinestone fill, they have the letter N in orange. And what that means is I have Craft and Cut software, love it. I have the crafting software, Craft and Cut, on my computer. And when I loaded Embellish Maker software for the first time, everything that's in Craft and Cut becomes a powerhouse with Embellish Maker. It loads and fully functions inside of Embellish Maker. Super awesome tool. And the last fundamental videos will show and talk about that. If you're not seeing these three icons, that means that you do not have Craft and Cut installed on your computer. So stay tuned for fundamental video 6, where we'll talk about converting tools.